Alright, so back to Max Petroleum. Now this red line here, you're going to say, where did this red line come in? I actually drew that free range. And I'll just delete that and I'll basically add it back in again. So all I do is hold Shift and I can just draw a line. And basically it's just a simple trend line or resistance line. So every time Max Petroleum was getting up here, it was coming down. So during this period here, as moving average traders, a little bit choppy, wasn't it? It was more of a range between sort of, let's say, 80 pence here and about £1.10 here. What's significant about this point here, £1.40? Well, what's significant about that 1.40? And we can just draw a line across just to make it simple. It breaks out, i.e. Max Petroleum now is higher than it was here. So last time Max Petroleum hit the £1.50, sort of £1.40 mark, sellers came in, or certainly there were no more buyers. Remember we talked about the bulls and the bears? What happens here? Okay, well now it breaks through and it comes back, gives you a little bit of a heart attack, but basically it carries on. Max Petroleum has made a new 52-week high and a new 20-day high. That's why it's on this list. So that's a pretty interesting share to trade. Now let's say I found this and I say, right, I want to buy Max Petroleum. And also when I say buy, I'm talking about spread betting here. Let's go to our spread betting account. In this case, we've got IG index open, so we'll use them. Now just say on spread trading accounts, a lot of people have more than one spread trading account. It's nothing wrong with that. If you've got a problem with one spread trading company, you can always use the other one. People say, oh, is there much difference? On the whole, most spread trading companies now, their prices are very in line. But you know, occasionally you might find variances. So you might find a better trading price with one spread trading company than another. Much easier to do that now if you don't have to phone around. You can have more than one platform open at the same time. Let's do that. We've got the IG index platform open there, and here's the man spread trading platform open at the same time as well. So we can, we can have two spread trading formats open quite easily at the same time. Going back to the IG index, so we want to find our share. We're basically looking for Max Petroleum, and of course we can also phone through and put this through. Now we'll try and see if it's under the major list. So shares UK major. And it goes in alphabetical order. So MA to ME. Let's have a look if it's under here. Max Petroleum, there it is. So we click on Max Petroleum. And I say, by the time you're watching this, I could have sold Max Petroleum or I could be out of it. All right, for September, we'll click on Deal. And we can currently buy Max Petroleum at 205.8. And if you wanted to go short, we could go short at 203.7. The difference obviously is the spread, as IG's spread and also the market spread as well. Now you're going to say, Vince, your chart shows it at 197. Well, this was last night's closing price, okay? And obviously we're now into the next day. So this was where Max Petroleum closed last night. And obviously this is the cash price. It's not the futures price, not the spread trading price. So Max Petroleum has gone up a little bit more today, but that's fine. So I choose how much I want to buy. Let's say I want to buy £100 a point or £1,000 a point. I click the amount there, I click buy. For most sizes in some of the larger shares, it will automatically go through and the trade will be done. If I did try to trade £1,000 a point on this particular share, in many cases it will say, sorry, it cannot do that size, the size is too big, you're trading too much. And what they would ask you to do is give them a call and they will work the order for you. But for the majority of trades, you're going to be able to trade online without a problem. Same again, reverse, if we want to sell it. So that's as easy. And then obviously we would like to place a stop. So once we've opened the trade, we can put the stop in. So back to share scope. So every share that you're seeing here are new 52-week highs or new 20-day highs. And what we're looking for, as I say, are shares that are obviously showing strength if we're going to be buyers. On the reverse, we want to see sellers. Let's have a look at this one, Regal Petroleum. Quite an interesting share in that I've actually traded this one both ways, and in fact I'm long right now, but I've made good money on the upside and I've made good money on the short side as well. So don't be afraid to obviously make money on upside and downside. What's interesting about Regal, it did go up quite a lot and it also fell quite a lot. Now you're going to say, what made that happen? To be honest, you don't need to know. If you really want to know the news items, you can go and check those out. All you need to know is that basically it had a large fall. And in fact, it went basically from £3.45 all the way down to 56p. And if anyone says it can't go any lower, yes, shares can always go lower. Now, what would give us our warning? Would we be able to get out here at the top? Yeah, if I was a psychic, I'd probably get out here at the top, but we didn't. We got out when obviously it started to break below the 20, and in this case it broke below the 100 and the 200-day moving average. So we don't get out at the top, we weren't the first ones in, but you can see there's enough gain. On the short side, exactly the same, we go short, and again it reverses back up on us. Then we have a period of pretty much choppy consolidation. What starts to happen here at 84 pence? Well, it breaks back above the 200-day moving average, breaks above the 100, and breaks above the 20. What does that give us here? It gives us a buy signal. Okay, do we know that this is the start of a new trend? No, we don't. Absolutely not. What we do know, though, is, as I say, that is what we will normally instigate a buy off. Then carries on, and as I say, we're still in the trend. There's no reason to sell this. The only time I'll start to sell it if it closes below the 200-day moving average, or it closes below the 20-day moving average if we're using a shorter stop system. But for now, and let me just zoom into that, just so I go through that again, show you how I zoomed. All I did is shift and hold, and I zoomed in. So I'm just looking at the most recent part of data. But for now, that's interesting to me. It's not an all-time high, because obviously that was the all-time high, so it's still got a long way before it gets to there, but it's a 20-day high, and it's above those moving averages. And again, a fairly new issue there, so you haven't got much data. Everything I'll show you here, all either 52-week highs or 20-day highs. Now some people will say, crikey, so many opportunities. Well, that's the thing about this business. You know, you can have a lot of good opportunities. If I had to select which trades to start with, I would say trade the larger capitalization stocks. And you'll say, well, why do you say that? The reason I say that, do you remember what we talked about spread, the difference between the buying and selling price? Well, if we trade some of the smaller companies, the bid and offer, the buying and selling price can be quite large. If we want to know how big the company is, capitalization, we can add a column here, capitalization, double click, and it will sort all the shares out with the biggest capitalization or smallest capitalization. So if you notice here, you've got BHP Billiton, 31 billion, and so on and so on and so on. So these are all big companies. So all these shares here, all very, very easy to spread trade because they're all big companies. Now, if we just put our pointer on here, and you might not see this because it might be a little bit small, but in the bottom corner, it'll actually tell you where it's listed. So it's listed on the FTSE 100. Anything that we know is in the FTSE 100 is a big stock. And as I say, these have all made either new all-time highs, in the case of Man Group, or 52-week highs. Now we can do exactly the opposite on the short side. Right click, new highs, new lows, just restrict it to new lows. If you remember when I first started, I had it on there set by mistake. So everything I'm going to show you now, you don't really want to be a buyer of, and hopefully you're not holding it anymore. You either want to be short these, or you certainly want to be out of the market. Okay, so Avis, and you see what I'm talking about, trends, how trends continue. And notice how things reverse. You know, Renshaw here, great, up, 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 all the way up to £10. You know what we said about the seesaw, the buyers and the sellers? Well, obviously the sellers basically started to come in, the buyers are exhausted, and so on and so on. That's not a bad share at the moment that you can look to go short. So these are all shares that are breaking down, and I showed you basically you'll be able to find most of these with your financial spread trading company. Some of them you won't be able to spread trade. I'll give you an example. If we look at this one called Imprint, and if I just press enter, now this share's capitalised at 69 million.